Alright, welcome. My name is Zion once again, and today we'll be looking at a very powerful function in Excel, and that's called concatenate. It's right there on my screen. It's a formula actually in Excel which help you in combination of data. Like I said, Excel has a lot of advantages, especially when it comes to arranging, analyzing, and inputting of data. Now, for our concatenate function, let's take a case study, and that will explain better what I mean. In our case study, we have a list of students in a class. We have their names, their address, and the class number. What we have on our list basically is the first name separate, the last name separate, you have the house number separate, you have the street, you have the city, and you have the country. What you can see now is data separated. However, we have a situation we want to display this same data and this same list in a more compact form. We want to streamline the presentation. So the challenge is we want to streamline this into two columns, especially. So what we want to have will be the first and the last name together, which means names, and then address. That will be together with house number, street, city, country in one single column, the first and the last name in another column, giving us this name and address. Simple. With Excel, this is very much easier, and that's what the concatenate function does. It streamlines, or no, sorry for using that word, it combines different data in different cells. So let's go to Excel and have a look at what I've been saying so far. This is a typical example of what I've just described. Here you can see the first names. Let me bold my section here, the headers. Okay, here you can see the first name, last name, then the house number. You can see the street, the city, and the country. So however, we want it much more better than this. So what we are looking at is to have our names and then address. If you have to look at the manual way of working through this, that would have been probably I copy my Mabel, I paste, sorry, I copy Mabel, I paste, I copy Adewumi, I paste. But what happens if I have so many names down? That means transferring all of these down here will be an Herculean task. So we'll be using the concatenate function to combine the first and the last name into another column called names, and then combine the address fields into one single column under address, and that's it. So let's start with the names. For the concatenate function, it's a formula like I mentioned earlier, and the best way to go about it, there are two ways of stating your formulas. For the purpose of the study, I'll do it the simple way, which will be easier for everyone to remember. Your formula will always start with the equals to sign. You type in the equals to sign in the formula bar, and immediately Excel recognize that what is preceding will likely be a formula or a reference to another cell. Now I've typed the equals to sign. I can also continue further, but by typing the concatenate function. As you can see, the autocomplete functionality in Excel is already bringing out the formula for me. So I can double click here and then type in my formula. I'll do the first method and then I'll show you the second method, which is quite easier. As you can see, I have concatenate, then I have text1, text2. In your concatenate formula, your text1 is the first data you are combining, followed by your text2, which is the second data you are combining, and in that same sequence you can have text1, text2, text3, text4. Now what you simply do between each text is to add a comma sign. So I'm combining Mabel. Don't forget that the cell which I have Mabel is actually A2. Automatically this is inserted into my formula, so I had a comma, and then I go to the next cell which I mean to combine, and that is Adewumi, which is in B2. I click on it, and since that's just the 2, I can complete my formula and enter. As you can see, we have Mabel Adewumi, but it's not well written. Why? Because we simply combined Mabel and Adewumi. We did not leave a space for so there was no space in between. So let's go to the second cell and then I'll show you how to insert a space within the concatenate function. So once again, we have concatenate. I complete it. I'm adding pious, a comma. To insert a space between these two data, you have the inverted comma, which is this. Sorry, my keyboard has changed. So I insert my inverted comma, space, close it up with an inverted comma again, and then comma. That signifies a data. That means the space is a data on its own, and then Okonkwo, which is the next data to be combined. I have it there. I close up my formula, and that's it. So we have pious Okonkwo, well written and well aligned. So that's combination. We can apply the same thing for the house address. Let's assume we want to add we are combining the house number, street, city and country. Now don't forget, ideally we should have 4 comma space Adelabu Street, comma space Lagos, comma space Nigeria. Do you get it? So using our concatenate formula, you double click to auto complete it, or you can simply type everything in full. 4 Adelabu, I click on the cell, I have a comma. Now remember, I want to add another comma to it, so I use the same inverted comma function. My comma, I close it up, I add a comma, inverted function again, space, then I add a comma, sorry, I add an inverted function after the space, then a comma. Do you get? So what I have is C2 for house number 4, a comma, yeah, and then a space, and then I have Adelabu Street. I repeat the same thing again. I have Adelabu Street, I add a comma to define that particular cell. I have two things to add before coming to Lagos, and that is a comma, a space, then Lagos. So to do that, inverted comma again, the comma which is meant for it, which is meant to be in my data, and then I close it, and then I want to add a space. I insert my inverted comma again, sorry, I need to end that with a comma, then I insert my inverted comma again, my space, close it with an inverted comma, then define it as a formula by finishing it up with a comma, and then I come to Lagos, and then I close up Lagos with a comma. For every cell that you are defining within your formula must end with a comma. That's just a simple trick. Now I want to do the same again, a comma after Lagos, a space, and then Nigeria. I have defined Lagos. Now I want to insert a comma after Lagos. For this extra numeric data which are not in your cell, you use the inverted comma. So I input the inverted comma once again, my comma data, then I close it with the inverted comma, then I add a comma to define it, and then inverted comma again, space, close it, comma to define it, and then Nigeria, and then I close my formula, and that is it. You can see 4 Adelabu Street, Lagos, Nigeria, well written. That's one method of doing that. Let's assume for our next rule, Aminat Abubakar, I want to still do the same thing, but this time around we can use the wizard, the formula wizard. It's in every version of Excel you make use of. First is to input our equals to sign to tell Excel we are making use of a formula, and then I go to my concatenate. I simply type con, concatenate comes up, I double click it to call it up. Here I click on the insert function. This works like a wizard, and when I click on it, this box comes up. Now this is second method, and this makes it quite easier in case you might not, or you get confused in typing and inputting comma and inverted comma and so on. What you have is text 1 which I want to insert, and that is Aminat. So I click on Aminat. I want a space, I simply space, click on the space bar, I go to text 3 and click Abubakar, and that's it. I click OK. Quite easy, isn't it? So let's try it for Pius Okonkwo address. we have equals to concatenate, double click on the insert function once again, and then go ahead. 14, you want a comma, a space. Broad road, you want a comma. So you have the liberty of having as many text boxes as so on. You can see Excel simply adds it automatically for you, and then a space, and then I've already written D3, which is Broad Road. Next will be Abia, which is the city. I scroll down, and then I have a comma. Go to the next line, a space, and then country, and that's it. So if you are confused typing it manually, you can easily make use of the wizard. The wizard also allows you to edit your formula. You can click on it, see all what you have inputted so far, and can easily edit. Let's assume I made a mistake. Instead of F3, I inputted A3 here, and I'm having piles under the address field. I can go back to the formula and edit it back to what it's meant to be. Now we've learned how to insert the formulas. Excel also makes it easier in the sense that you don't have to type a formula for each cell. If you have your range of data, all you have to do, the formula we have here is more like a reference formula, which means it changes as the cell to which it's referencing changes. So for instance, for Gloria Udeoma, I don't need to go through the stress of inputting the formula. I simply come over to my so to apply the same formula for Glory Udeoma, all I need to do is to click on my formula under Aminat Abubakar or whichever one, either Pius Okonkwo, and drag the fill undo. It's at the lower right hand edge of your cell. I have my existing formula. As you can see, Pius Okonkwo is a formula. So all I need is to bring my cursor, the mouse cursor, on the fill undo. There is an edge, more like a dot here, and drag it down, and that is it. I've applied that formula. Same thing goes for the address, and you can see that the address here has been adapted, and I can use that same method to correct my Mabel Adewumi and have a proper text there. And so that's that for concatenate function. It makes, so even if I have so many data, dragging down, I simply apply the same method. So for as much data as I have, the formula will be applied, and that's it. Thank you very much.